What's up, gaming heroes? Welcome back to another awesome World of Warcraft video. In today's video, we're actually going to be looking at TSM Tailoring. How do we make gold with TSM? And most of all, how do we use TSM to actually restock, craft, get the auctions posted, be able to recognize what's a scam versus what's not a scam, all of that lovely shenanigans. So in today's video, we're going to cover all the basics there, the groups, the operations, how to do it all basically. The reason for this video is because so many people from, the gaming hero community ask for a video like this, which will explain the basics of TSM and how to use it. Now, I did just release the updated version for TSM Tailoring to my patrons, so thank you very much to all my patrons that support me. They get full access to all of my own personal groups for TSM Tailoring and Enchanting and even transmogs. So if you're part of that team of people, thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. Okie dokie, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so this is my TSM screen where I kind of show you guys my auctions, my mailbox openings, everything like that. It's just basically a smaller version of World of Warcraft, just so you guys can see the specific things that I am doing here. Alright, so I've deleted my TSM Tailoring group, which is completely fine because I can get that from my website. As you can see, I've got literally everything here already. And if I ever need to get my TSM Tailoring stuff back again, I can easily do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the very basic things first of all. Let's just check settings. Okay, let's go down to crafting. Now for crafting, you can basically use the default value methods if you want to. These are the ones that I use, and you can use them as well. A DB min buyout, this is typically just takes the minimum buyout from your auction house on your realm and basically imports that. Now, this isn't a video explaining how to install TSM or everything like this. This is just to go over the settings once you've got it installed. So if you need to install it, go to the TSM website and you can install it there. Alright, so this is what we do. DB min buyout. That's what I like to have as the minimum one. You can change this if you want to, but for me, that works perfectly. Let's go to tooltip settings. And these are the settings I've got here. When I go over an item, I'll open up an item just now, really easily. And I like to make sure that I've got the sale rates, I've got the region average daily sold, everything like that available to me. Just on the right side, because that tells me how often that item sells and whether it's worth creating or not. Okay, so just make sure you've got, the various different things like sale rates there. That's a really helpful one to have. All right, let's go to groups now and actually get into this video, right? Okay, so first of all, something to learn about base groups. Base group actually has every single item in the game. So if you actually need to search any item ever, you don't need to go to an auction house. You can literally open up TSM, click base groups, and type in the item. It is worth noting that if you've got this item already in another group, it won't appear in base group. It'll only appear in that specific group. So, as an example, let's look at the Sea Breeze. There you go. We got several different bits and bobs here. Let's look for, I don't know, anything really. Anything that you can really access will be here for you to see. Okay, guys. So, if you're ever looking for something, you can look for it on base groups just like that. Now, if you are importing my TSM strings that's all from Patreon, it's really quite simple. You just copy it and then you click import group and you paste it in there, and that's how it will work. I'm going to click off that because that's obviously my strings right there, and we don't want to import that right this second. Right, let's create a group. Let's call this example tailoring. Okay, that is the one. I'm just going to give this a number so it appears right at the top. One example tailoring. Okay, we happy with that? I'm happy with that. Super. Now, at this point, we kind of need to figure out, the items we're going to stick in this group. And we need to figure out, different categories as well. Because realistically, you want to have different categories. So as an example, enchanting, I like to have don't craft and classic and everything like that. I usually split it into each expansion. That's usually how I like to roll with things. You don't have to do the same. It's entirely up to you. It is kind of redundant in some situations to do that. However, I'm a very, organized person. I like to have those things separate. But for the purpose of this video, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have one called Nice Transmogs. Okay, that basically just means good pure clothing that looks good, that will sell as a result of it looking good. Okay, now we're gonna have times 20 crafted mats. This is just things that, you know, like bandages and, you know, specific region cloths that you can create and sell on the auction house. And we're going to do the same group here as we just had there. I'm going to create that as a times 10 instead, crafted mats, because sometimes you want 10 instead of 20, you know. So that's great. Anything past that, I think we will have a times 3 as well. Times 3 T-Mogs. Okay, times 3 T-Mogs will go in nice transmogs, and that is basically a specific operation we're going to have just to make certain transmogs that sell so quickly that we need to actually restock 3 at a time. Okay, so that's what I typically, you know, will look at in that sort of way. Now, if you do want just a quick and easy way to get all of your crafted things that you can possibly craft from your tailoring or your enchanting, I'm going to show you a quick way to do that right now. So first of all, open up, say, tailoring as an example here. Then you can see right here that we've got, let's just make sure that this isn't too wide. It's super easy for us to kind of see on screen. There we go. Now, say we just want to take every single item we can actually craft from tailoring. I'm going to show you how you can do that right now. So TSM group, okay, just click that and click this one here called create profession group. Okay, so we don't need to select anything. We're just going to select this icon here called create profession group, and this is actually going to create, as you can see here, there you go, you can see that there. If we close that, TSM Tailoring group updated with 520 items and 156 materials. This has now created a new group with absolutely everything that we can craft in tailoring. So let's go down to here where we can see tailoring. Here, it's automatically created a group for us. So as an example, see this group I just made here? This is really great, and you can always just drag these into here if you want to. But this is now got absolutely everything that you can possibly craft from tailoring in here. This is why I like to use the don't craft groups, because what I like to do is say let's add a don't craft group in here. Don't craft, all right? And what I like to do is anything that has too low of a sell rate and too low value, I add it to that group. Okay, so we just need to make sure that the don't craft is under items here. And all I would do typically here is like look for items that have a high sell rate. And if they've got a high sale rate, then I'll stick them in the grouped items section. Okay, so now we put the don't craft group inside the items group. We can go through this and find basically any items that have a low sale rate. So let's look at these Aurora slippers. They have a really low sale rate and a low value, so they're really not going to be worth us crafting. So we're going to put that as don't craft. Let's add that item to it. That's an example of something I don't want to craft. At this point, we go to operations. See that one next to there? Just click that. And we're going to override this operation because we don't want to post these items. We don't want to craft these items. We just click overwrite parent operations. And this will basically mean that it has no operations. It can't do anything until you add more operations in. If we have, for example, in auction operations, the default there and then the default there, that's all great. But we'll look at that in just a second. So that's how you can very quickly create groups. Let's just drag in these groups here and we can figure out for ourselves the various different ways we're going to go about things. Okay, okie dokie. So that's really simple to do, guys. So far, that's where we're at. And with the materials here, this is a really good one to have actually, because with the materials group, you can actually scan these on the auction house if you create a shopping group. If you create a shopping group, even if it's the default group, you can scan them on the auction house and you can buy them when they're cheap. So that means when you come to basically craft things for the auction house, you can have a list of materials that you've already bought really cheap and know you're going to get even more profit from the auction house. All right, so now we've got these various different groups in here. We can go through each of these and decide what needs to go into these groups. So these nice transmogs, as an example, would go into this group, everything like that. I'm going to delete this group here because I don't need this. I'm mostly going to just use items as my nice transmogs, right? So I'm just going to call that items nice transmog, okay? And we're going to add a new group in there called times 3 T-Mogs, okay? That makes it way easier for me because all the materials already in here, and once I've gone through the don't craft group and found like all the things that don't sell, like this for example, Azure Silk Gloves, they don't sell, I don't want those crafted. Everything else is automatically going to craft because I'll make sure the operations are here. All right, and additionally, anything that is really good at selling, so for example, Shadow Weave Mask is a really good seller, and it will sell like incredibly quickly, so I need to restock about 3 of those at a time. I like to have those in the ×3 group. Okay, now crafted materials. Let's do a crafted materials for bandages. Bandages are like really surprisingly good. A lot of people don't see that, especially the Windwall ones, because they're used for a reputation grind for getting your your panthers. your jewelry crafting panthers, so they're very good to be making those. All right, so we want to make 20 of these at a time and sell 20 of those at a time. And then for crafted materials, let's just take an example of moon cloth. The moon cloth might not be in here because it might be actually in the materials section here. Moon, yes it is. Yeah, you see, let's just take that out there. And then we can go to base group, because I'm going to need to refine that because I've just removed it from the group, and put it into here. So moon cloth. You see that there? Now to grab that item and stick it straight into the ×10 crafted materials, I can just go to the bottom here where it says select group. We selected that moon cloth. We select the group right here. Then we go down to tailoring, and we click the 10 times crafted mats. We select group. And then it won't move until we click move one item. So we clicked that. And now if we go down to the 10 times crafted mats, the moon cloth is there. Super easy to use. I am forgetting one thing as well here, and that is bags as well. I really want a bags group. Bags. Okay. And realistically, you want another group within that called rare bags. Because, some bags sell so rarely that it's not worth putting 4 on the auction house at a time. It's only really worth putting 1 or 2 on the auction house at a time. So typically I like to do that as well. Okay, now if we just type in bag, all right, and then you can literally just select all of these here, add the items, done, and then we can go to rare bags and we can figure out what's rare. 0.03 is pretty rare, that's pretty rare, that's pretty rare, that's not rare, that's rare. And you can just go through each of these and see what has a low sell rate. If it's got a really low sell rate, then it goes into rare. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Super easy. So let's just add those in, and we know that those are, we want to stock less of those because they take longer to sell. That's great. That's fine. Okay, that's brilliant. Now it's time to create some operations. Okay, so this is how you do your crafting each day. This is how you do your auction hour posting, everything like that. All right, so we're going to go to just the operations tab right here. Operations. So first of all, I'm going to look at crafting because I want to make sure you guys know how to craft before you post. It doesn't make sense to go to posting first. All right, so let's look at crafting. Okay, so you've got, I've got obviously loads and loads of operations here. Various different ones for various different reasons. Let's make sure that's moved across a little bit. Okay, now default is this, I believe. Is that the default? 100 gold minimum? It might be. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's not, but that's completely fine. The default will be whatever the default is. We're going to create something else altogether. Okay, so we need several, obviously, different operations based on the fact that some of us are going to be making transmogs and we only want to make really 1 of those at a time. We're going to be making bags. We might want to stock 4 or 8 of those at a time. We've got rare bags, which we only really want to stock 1 or 2 of those. We got the ×3 operation. So we're going to have to create a few different operations here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So crafting operations. This is a new operation right here. We're going to call this the standard. So standard ×1. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. Standard ×1. And for this, I don't really want to make anything less than 50 gold profit as a very minimum. Okay, but not only that, I also want to make sure that the 50 gold profit is also including the crafting cost as well. All right, so for this, I will put min and then a bracket, because that is basically telling min that it wants to consider everything within that bracket. So we'll put min 50 gold, then a comma, and then we'll put 10% crafting. A lot of people make this mistake with 10% crafting. They think that you have to put 110% crafting, but it's not the case at all. When you're figuring this out, TSM has asked you to put your minimum profit amount, okay? So it already knows that you want to recoup your costs of your craft, so you don't need to put 110%. You only need to put 10% because that is the value, the profit value you're getting after crafting. So a minimum of 50 gold and 10% crafting, okay? So that's what we're going to put. Enter there, and that is now saved. Now, we aren't happy with this minimum restock 10. That is honestly ridiculous. We only need to put 1, and maximum restock put 1 as well, because this is just for our standard ×1 craft, okay? Now, if you want to go for higher margins, you can go for higher margins. You can put 100 gold, and you can even put 20% crafting if you want to go for 20% crafting. It's entirely up to you. Do as you feel is right. But for now, we're just going to stick a 10% in there, and we're going to stick with 50 gold there. Okay. We don't want to override the default craft value method with this. Everything else is completely fine. That's great. So to save ourselves a bit of time now, I'm just going to duplicate this just to make the ×3. Okay, so ×3 standard is like that. And for the ×3 one, it's going to be very much the similar type thing for the profit, but the only difference is we're going to have a minimum restock of 1 and a maximum of 3. This will basically just mean that it can restock, up to 1 at a time, and typically it will only go over to a maximum of 3 at a time. So when you sell 2, it will restock 2. When you sell 1, it will restock 1. If you don't want to have to do that many restocks, you can put it as 3, and it won't restock until you've sold all 3. Basically, super easy. So I stick that at 1, and that keeps it nice and simple. Just gives me a daily craft to do, spend my 20 minutes crafting, and then I'm in profit. Alright, we're going to do the same now for the ×20. However, I changed the profit a little bit on the ×20. Personally, this is what I go for. So first of all, we need to do a max restock quantity of 20. I'm going to put this as 5. I don't really want to restock anything under 5 at a time, just because it's going to take my time. I don't want to waste time. I'll wait until I've sold a minimum of 5 to restock any of those. Completely fine. Now for this, a lot of the time, because you're selling 20 of these items, the auction house is going to take a certain cut, and you don't want to obviously be out of profit here. So I actually like to put this as 250 for things like profit wise, because it's going to consider the profit on each one of these items. Okay, it's not going to consider all those 20 items together and work out the profit there. It's going to work out the profit on each of these items. So you can put 250, you can put 100 gold. In this instance, we're going to put 100 gold, okay, and just stick it as 100 gold for each of those items. Make it worth your time, guys. You may as well make it worth your time. And we're going to put ×20 there. Now we're going to copy that one more time for ×10. Keep it simple, ×10, and we'll change that to ×10. Easy peasy. Now, as this is 10, I'm going to put that as back as 1. I'm happy to restock 1 for that. And again, I'm going to probably keep that around 100 gold. You don't, because the auction house takes a 5% cut from you. So once you've sold it, you've got your 5% cut, then you've got your deposit fees. If you have this profit margin as too low, you can lose quite a bit of profit on just crafting these, and we don't want to be in that situations. Okay, so we've got the ×1, we've got the ×10. Something I like to do sometimes with the ×1 is actually create 2 of them and sell 1. That is just to save yourself time on crafting. If you want to do that, you just put a 2 there. If not, then you just stick the 1 there, and you're hunky-dory, good to go. Alright, so those are the 4 operations we've got now. We need to create a bag operation. So I'm going to copy this again, just duplicate it and call this standard bags. Okay. And for this, we need to have, we're going to restock about 4 to 8. So I'm going to actually put 8 in this situation. And I want to make it a minimum of 50 gold each on these. Happy for that. That's kind of a good profit margin. And I'll happily restock 1 at a time for that if needs be. We're going to copy this again, and we're going to create a rare bags. As this is rare bags, we don't really want to, let's call it standard rare bags so we can keep it all together. Standard rare bags. Okay. And for this, we really want to have a minimum of 100 gold. I don't want to waste my time on that. And we're only ever going to restock a maximum of 2 of those. Just because they've got a lower sell rate, we're going to take a bit longer to sell those at a time, which is completely fine. We don't want to waste deposit fees, as that's what we're going to do that. So we've got kind of all that set up now. We can go over to our groups and go through the groups, which is tailoring just here. And we are going to go to operations. All right. So you can have like basically the group operations, and this will put those operations in every single one of these. But You don't have to do that. That's up to you if you want to do that. What I'm going to do is go over to nice transmogs right here, and we're going to, you can see we've got all these in here right now. Haven't really sorted through the list because I'm not going to spend that time doing so. I've already shown you guys how to do that. Now we're going to go through this. We're going to click operations, and we're going to go over to override parent operations. Okay, parent operations is basically what would have happened if you click tailoring and put the operations in there. It considers that as the parent operation, and all of these are like basically child operations. Okay, so let's go over to transmog operations, and we're going to override this bad boy so it's not the default. And for transmogs, it's ×1, so it's standard ×1, standard ×1. Oh, sorry, that's the auction operation. We're doing crafting operation right now. So ×1 standard ×1. So that's a standard ×1 right there. So we're going to apply that to the just generate everything inside here. Okay, now we need to go through each of these individually and basically update their operations. So bags need to be standard bags, I do believe. Standard bags, beautiful. And then the rare bags, standard rare bags, lovely jubbly. Don't craft has no operations because we don't want to craft them and we don't want to post them. Crafted 10 times. We want to change this to standard ×10. Right? Standard ×20 for the ×20 posts. There we go. Lovely jubbly. And then ×3 as well. We need to override that one and make sure we're doing ×3 of that. Lovely jubbly. That's brilliant. It's looking really good. I'm very happy with how this is coming so far. Now we've got to go and do the auction house operations. I'll show you like one of my typical ones that I use for auction house operations. This is a typical one that I like to use, and that is just 10% crafting. I want to, you know, recoup 10% crafting as a minimum cost. This is just for my transmog stuff. I know if I've already crafted it, I'm more than likely going to get my 50 gold profit, so I don't really need to stick the 50 gold profit. 10% crafting. 10% crafting is completely fine just to keep that. Now, it's up to you if you want to go for more. You want to put 20% crafting, you want to put 30%, you put however much you want. You can stick just a normal gold figure here if you want to. Now, there's no real need for me to create something new here, since it's already made realistically. So let's go ahead and just click post cap, and we only want to post 12 hours at a time because I'm on quite a high pop realm, and I've got so much competition that realistically every 2 hours I've been undercut on about 60% of my auctions. So I need to really do a cancel scan every 3 to 4 hours if I want to get a lot of sales. If I don't, then I know I'm going to sell probably about 20% of my goods if I do no cancel scans. That's understandable. It's not a huge amount of profit, probably around 5,000 to 7,000 gold. But if I do cancel scans, I know I can sell, you know, up to 40 to 50% of my goods typically, because it's such a high pop realm. So I do only 12 hours to save up on deposit, basically deposit costs. And then for everything else here, we post cap is 1. We don't need to post more than 1 at a time. That's a bit too greedy, and realistically I'll just recraft if I need to recraft. Don't post after this minute expires. Yeah, 5,000. I mean, it is what it is. You can put this as 0 or 5,000. It's up to you. I know I'm going to post everything because I'm only making certain things with certain sell rates, so I don't need to really worry about this one. It's a bit redundant for me. All right, 10% crafting. Yes, that's the post. All right, that's the minimum one. And if it's under 10% crafting, I just don't post the item. Maximum is 500% crafting and 500% DB market value average. And normal is 250% crafting, 250% DB market average. Okay, so again, it's just what it is, guys. You can copy that there if you want to. Again, I have all of these strings available for you guys to just get them from my Patreon if you want to. You can just literally take absolutely everything I've got from all my tailoring, my enchanting, my transmogs, and every single month that you sign up to Patreon, I basically add additional professions as I'm working on mine. I update them every single month, every single one of my strings, so you guys can make sure you're getting the most up-to-date ones as well. So if you do just want to save yourself the time and effort, you can just sign up to my Patreon and support me, and as a thank you, I give you all my my TSM strings. Thank you. All right. So that is done now. We've got basically the posted operations. As I don't really need to go through most of these here, I'm just going to literally click craft post there as a parent operation. Now we're going to go back over to operations here and click auctions operations again, craft post, and you can see here I've got a craft post times 10, a craft post times 100, a craft post times 2. I've got pretty much it's set up for everything, and it's very similar, you know, profit for each one. The only difference is post cap. Sometimes the profit is a little bit different for things like times 20, because I want to make sure I'm getting a minimum profit on some of that stuff. I don't want to lose profit on. If there's anything you can lose profit on in tailoring, it's the times 20 stuff or the times 10 stuff, and that's purely just the deposit fees and the auction house cuts. Sometimes, you know, you got to figure things out carefully. All right, so for the nice transmogs, let's just double check the operations all good for that. We don't want to override the operations. That's happy. Craft post times 1. We want to change this to post 4 at a time. So we got a bags one, which does basically 4 at a time. We got a rare bags one, which is we're only going to put craft post times 2 actually, because we're posting 2 at a time. Don't craft has absolutely none, and then times 10 obviously needs to have a times 10. And then crafted mats times 20 needs to have a times 20. And then obviously we're going to have a times 3 as well for anything that we're doing times 3. Super easy. That's done. Okay, so now what do you do once you've done this? You open up tailoring. Okay, so let's just assume you've gone through your groups, you figured out what items you want to bring into your groups, what items you don't want to craft, everything like that. A little tip for me personally, because, you know, TSM will show you, if I expand this a little bit here, make sure you guys can see it. TSM will show you like the sale rate just there. But realistically, I don't go on that sale rate. I go on the amount sold per day. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing in many ways. But let's just look at say, sumptuous robes. Okay, let's just look at this. Let's just drag this up here. You can see that's 0.04, and the region average daily sold is 0.12. I look at the 0.12 personally, and I just make sure that's a 0.6 and above. 0.06 and above, sorry, and that's typically what I go for. Now, if it is over 1,000 gold profit, I will consider under 0.06, but it has to be a really nice chunk of change for me to consider going below it. So some of my groups, some of my items in the groups on Patreon are, you know, below that sale rate, and that's purely because it's such a high value transmog that when it's actually sold, I'll definitely recoup my costs on that and get a decent amount of profit as well. So once that's done, so yeah, as I say, I've just shown you guys, you know, what I typically use for my sale rates. Now we need to do a restock. So this is how you do a restock right here. So you open up your tailoring, you come to TSM groups, because it'll be on here typically. Come to your TSM groups and you select the one that you want to restock. So let's do tailoring. The difficulty here, guys, is it's not going to restock a huge amount for me here, because I've already got like a huge amount on the auction house already. Let's show you guys how much I've actually got on the auction house. Right, so on the auction house currently, I've got 567,000 gold worth of items on the auction house, and as you can see, we're getting quite a lot of gold from that. I think in due course that probably might go down, because I was experimenting with certain operations, and you know, I wanted to make sure I got things right. So it is what it is. It should be around 350,000 gold worth of just tailoring and enchanting stuff that I sell typically. So let's go ahead and do a restock now. So TSM groups, tailoring, restock selected group. It will take a second to think about it, and you'll be like, oh no, I've got to think Erosium, and then it will go through and it will automatically figure out all the things that it's going to restock. Now, because I haven't gone through this group, I haven't basically taken out the things that are going to take too long to gather materials. I haven't taken out the things that, you know, don't sell, that have a really bad sell rate. It's just crafting everything in the group at the moment, but it won't do that for you, because I know you guys will go through it carefully with a comb and just look for anything that's got a bad sale rate and get rid of it. Okay. So as you can see, so far that's my estimated cost to craft, 250k. My profit would be 704k once this stuff is sold. Realistically, guys, a lot of this stuff isn't going to sell because it's just got a low sale rate on my realm. I'm on a super high pop realm, so therefore selling stuff on the auction house, I can't get as much profit as people can on a low pop realm. Some of this stuff is definitely going to be worth selling on a low pop realm, but because obviously on the high pop, it's oversaturated and thus it's harder to sell. So at this point, say you wanted to craft everything like this, and you want to get the materials that you need to get from the auction house, instead of having to look through, oh, I need some imbued silkweave, oh, I need this, I need that. You just go to gathering up here, you click that one right there, you select your character, Erofam, that's my character right here, and then we go to the open task list. Before we do that, make sure you've got this sources set up here like that. Now, you want this set up like this because you've got the guild bank, you've got the vendor, craft, AH crafting, everything like that. You got everything you need right there without messing about. This will basically figure out where it wants you to basically find the materials from. So for example, if you had AH or AH crafting over the vendor, then it would basically tell you to buy it from the auction house instead of buying it from the vendor, which is why that needs to be above it. This source list is a priority list as well. It prioritizes where you want these materials to come from. So a lot of the time I will buy tons of materials from a guild bank, from a vendor, and then stick them in the guild bank, so that way I don't have to waste my time going to a vendor to get this stuff. So that's why I've got guild bank at the top. I like max out the amount of stuff that I've got, so I can save myself time from having to go to vendors. Okay, so once you've got that set up there, open task list, boom, bang, ping. Let's turn cooldowns off. We don't need cooldowns right here. And let's turn expired auctions off there. This is going to show you now all the materials that you need to get from everywhere, okay? And it's quite a lot. Because we've got so much crafting here, you can see that it's going to basically tell us to get stuff from the guild bank, everything like that. Now, if I went over to the guild bank just over here, guild bank, and I opened up my guild bank, and you can see that that's all opened, yeah? If I clicked move, it would automatically grab everything it needs from the guild bank. It'd take a few seconds to do so, but it would just grab everything I need from the guild bank, literally just there, and it would just go through everything and grab it for me super easily. Okay, now once that's done, let's close the guild bank. We want to go to the auction house. Let's go over to the auction house, and it will tell me to buy the stuff I need from the auction house. So let's open up the auction house, and let's drag this over to here. Go over to browse, and we click scan all. Okay, let's drag this in. Okay, scan all, and this will automatically scan all the materials that we need from the auction house. Let that do its scanning, and not only will it do that, it will also scan the materials that you could potentially use to create the materials you need to craft. So for an example, let's see if we can find any examples here. Say we need bolts of cloth. It will give you the bolts of cloth price on the auction house, but it will also give you the cost of the cloth in the auction house in case you want to buy that material to craft it into the bolts. So it's quite convenient like that. So once it's done that, you can buy everything, and it will automatically figure out how much you need. So as an example, if we were to buy Shadowlands silk, it would automatically work out how much we need. Now, there is an important setting you need here. Please get this setting set up on TSM. You need it. You need this setting. It is so important for you to get this setting, guys. Please listen to me when I tell you to get this setting, okay? So let's go down to settings, browse/sniper. Now, we aren't using the sniper operation, but we are using the browse operation. We don't want to get scammed on the auction house. We do not want to. This is how I previously spent 200,000 gold on 100 frostweave cloth, because I didn't have this setting. So you need this setting, okay? Trust me. Minimum 400% DB market. That's what I've got mine set to. You can have it as less if you want to. Let's just copy that and then reset. That's what it's set to as a default. But I don't think that's a good amount, because a lot of people might not have like 1 million gold. So I set it to 400% DB market as the minimum. What this effectively does, so you want the show confirmation ticked as well. What this effectively does is, say let's go to it here. Let's look at frostweave. Oh no, heavy callus. Let's look at heavy callus. Say we were to buy, I don't know, let's just buy this out. And say we'd buy one. There's no confirmation message there, yeah? But say we were to buy this here, it would say, contains auctions above your alert threshold. And it's a warning to say, do not buy this, you're going to get scammed, basically. So that's what we've just changed as that message there for the browse feature. So once we've done that, buy from AH, it should have buy from AH crafting. So all of these materials here are basically materials you're going to need to craft items to basically make more stuff in your tailoring you've got. So once we Clicked off that. We've got all the various different things you need to basically craft. You need to buy from vendor. You need to do everything like that. It's super easy. This is such a useful task list to have. Okay, so once that's done, now let's just say you've crafted everything from tailoring here. Okay, you've crafted everything here, so I'm just going to clear that. It's all crafted. It's all done. Great, that's wonderful. Now it's time to post things on the auction house. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up TSM. We're going to go to settings. We're going to go down to macros. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Alt, Control, or Shift. I personally use Alt. And we click scroll wheel up and down. Click Update Existing Macro. Done. So now when we go to the auction house, we click Auctioning. We select the group that we want to select. So in this instance, it's going to be Tailoring. We click Run Post Scan. It will scan all the items from that group, like it's done right now. You hold Alt, like I just showed you the macro, and you can scroll wheel up and down. Never having to click hundreds and hundreds of auctions, it automatically just posts these items. It's super easy. Alright guys, so there you have it. You get a good impression of, how much gold I've made, just from TSM tailoring and enchanting and various different things like this. In the last 3 months, I've the total gold I've earned just from my crafting characters alone has been 2 million gold 800,000. The spent is 1 million gold 800,000, and the total profit is 930,000. And as you can see, I only really started here on March, and this here hasn't even really been taken into consideration because of the time. I've also been investing a lot of gold into other professions, so this isn't even the best of what I could potentially do. I really hope that you guys found this tutorial today useful. I really hope that as a thank you, you guys will hit the like button and maybe even leave a comment in the section below. It just helps the video out. YouTube no longer sends out videos to subscribers. It only sends out the videos to people who might have an interest in that video by YouTube standards. So as a result of that, every comment, every like that you guys give massively helps the channel. Really appreciate you hanging out, and if you want to support me directly, please go over to my website, erosiumtv.com, check out some of those guides, or head over to my Patreon and support me there. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you join the Gaming Hero Discord. It's such a good Discord. We are having so much fun in there right now. Thanks for watching. This is Erosium, out.